You're now listening to the Something Good Podcast Network. Please press any key to continue.
That Wu-Tang slang.
Yep. Oh, we're talking about Wu-Tang. Okay.
Wu-Tang?
Yep. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Couch Potatoes. I'm here with Cap. Alex is absent today, and we also are joined by someone from our cryptic conspiracy cult,
Quinn,
thank you for coming. Today we'll be delving a little something a little bit out of the way. We'll be talking about gangster films.
Yeah.
Talk about the Goodfellas, the Godfathers.
Hey,
the Reservoir Dogs.
How you doing?
I was just watching that movie the other week too.
Oh, the Mr. Pink.
Yeah.
Why do I gotta be Mr. Pink? Do you want to trade?
You know exactly why you're Mr. Pink. So I thought we could just
You look, you're not Mr. Yellow.
yeah.
Could I be like Mr. Purple or something? Yeah, Mr. Purple. Let me be Mr. Purple. No, you're not being Mr. Purple. Mr. Purple's a guy on another job.
No, I think gangster movies is what we have. Like all three of us at the table have common ground on as far as like taste in movies, just because we just grew up on all that shit. To where like we probably know a lot of like mob speak.
Yeah,
pretty much.
So going into one of the greatest ones we talked about last time as Goodfellas.
Yeah, classic.
The story, the rise and fall of Henry Hill.
Really, yeah. And he just kept falling even after the fall.
Yeah, I want to see the movie of him like post getting into witness protection.
They should have, because he got kicked out. He kept fucking around. Like when he lived in Seattle, he owed a drug debt to a couple of like Colombian guys and ended up having to I think traffic, like move some shit over into either Canada, or he had to go and grab shit, move it back into the States.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting booked, and they took him to prison, and he got sentenced, all that stuff. He went in prison. All of a sudden, he meets this other guy he used to run on the street with, another associate. I forgot the guy's name, but he was going under an assumed name, which was Martin Lewis. That was Henry Hill's new identity. So guy comes up to him and was like, Henry, do you remember me? It's such and such. And Henry Hill's like, dude, no, don't fucking say that. Like, my name's Martin Lewis, in case you didn't realize. He's like, well, these guys over here want to speak to you. It was all fucking old school mobsters just looking at him like, hey, cocksucker, we're gonna stab you in the fucking showers.
Yeah, fucking stool pigeon.
Well, he ended up getting taken out of prison. Like, the fucking warden cursed him out and was like, what the fuck are you doing here? You're in witness protection. You can't be fucking around like this. You know what would happen? You're lucky your friend here, the guy he was just talking to, he was another informant. He was actually sitting undercover with that group of mobsters that were gonna kill him.
Jesus.
Yeah, crazy.
Here's the real stories about these people that are portrayed as folks that had it figured out until they don't have it figured out until they get too big for their britches in all these movies. But in real life, these were all just idiots.
Yeah, really. Like, the schemes were great. Don't get me wrong. Like, the Lufthansa heist was pretty cool. That whole thing, one of the biggest hijacks.
That's the one that's featured in the movie.
Yep. And they only leave. They're very accurate with that. The only thing they left out was there was another guard other than French that wasn't with the whole thing. They couldn't buy him out, so they ended up getting him hammered. Ended up buying like a couple of hookers to keep him distracted while they went in.
So I found out about this movie from that show I Love the 90s on VH1.
Yeah, nice. I watched all of that shit too.
So like they were talking about this great fucking movie of 1990, and I'm just like,
it was 1990. I always thought it was like, I keep thinking it was either late 80s or something like that.
It was like right at the turn.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck, I gotta watch it now. They talked about it. They hyped it up so fucking much, and I'm just like, and it opens up fucking perfect for as long as I can remember. I wanted to be a gangster.
Must I forever be a beggar?
Yeah.
And that soundtrack is awesome.
Oh, dude, God, great.
Every Scorsese soundtrack is like...
It's all Rolling Stones and classic rock.
And like in Goodfellas, it's my favorite scene is still when Cream starts playing, when Robert De Niro's looking across the bar.
When he's starting to lose it.
When he's like, you could tell he's about to kill Maury. Like, that was that one look where you're like, yep, this guy's about to get fucking whacked.
Sunshine of Your Love, yeah.
Yeah. He gets like... That's where... what does he say in the movie? And that's the moment where I knew he was going to get whacked.
Yeah.
Not tonight. Not tonight.
Yeah. But I saw that movie, and I remember not long after I saw that movie, I'd watched it again on like AMC because it's always on fucking AMC during like Gangster Week. It's like Shark Week.
We're gonna have it the same day, which is coincidentally the same day they also dumped the bodies.
Yeah.
Hey, it's on AMC over here.
And I watched it, and then the 30 for 30 came out about Georgetown, about the Henry Hill orchestrated the
point shaving
at Georgetown.
I haven't watched that yet. I didn't realize that was a Henry Hill thing.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
it
a
was.
Henry Hill thing, and like it added so much more to the Goodfellas storyline because we all know like they changed some of the names, they condensed 2 characters down to 1, and like and then you do your research a little bit more because I think you had brought it up that Karen was kind of fucking around with Paul Sorvino's character.
Yeah, Paul Cicero, they were having a whole affair while Henry was locked up in the not the first time when he was actually, of course, in prison with Paulie. It was the second time when he got busted for the cocaine.
Yeah. I like hear stories like that. I'm like, man, that could add it to the dynamic of the movie.
I know.
It really could have.
Because it probably would explain why Jimmy didn't want to kill her.
Yeah.
Robert De Niro's character didn't kill her.
Like that whole thing, that scene there, I honestly feel like that he probably was going to have her either killed or kidnapped, but personally more kidnapped, just so it would draw Henry out, because the mom had done stuff like that before.
Yeah.
Just nonchalantly like, it's right over there.
Yeah, it's like
Just right down there, just go ahead.
come on down, bitch.
I love the hand movement where he's even like motioning to around the corner.
Yeah, but it kind of like it would have like showed how much of a monster Karen was too.
Yeah.
Because like I remember the scene where he's in jail with Paul Sorvino's character and stuff, and she brings in those meats, that bread, and all that other stuff. Here, the whore, bring this to you. And she's just
Let her
pulling
bring
shit
it.
out of
Let
her
her
jacket. He's just like, what? Bitch, shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! He should have like picked up a salami and smack her in the mouth. Shut the fuck up! And then like if it had gone down to where it was down to the cocaine and stuff, he'd be like, "You're fucking Paulie, you fucking whore."
Yeah, and dude, that would have really added a whole different dynamic too. Like even Paul Sorvino's character, you would have been like, "Dude, what the fuck?" Like you basically raised this kid. Crazy thing about him though was that Paul Cicero actually had like a really bad temper. Like it was well known. Like for one example, he was at a restaurant and had a waiter actually spill wine on his wife, like on her dress and everything. Tripped, fell, total accident. Later on that night, guy was getting off work. Paul had 4 of his like enforcers wait for him in the parking lot, beat the shit out of this dude just for something as small as that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, they were all like, I think that's something they kind of leave out in some of these movies is how fucking animalistic these guys are.
Yeah.
Just a little slight. Like we talk when we think about Goodfellas and who's the problem is Joe Pesci. Because Joe Pesci's the one with the goddamn attitude problem.
And they held back, the actual animalistic tendencies that he was like in real life,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Same with De Niro's character.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Burke and Tommy DeSimone.
And Joe Pesci is such a good actor. And having him in like Casino and Goodfellas, and like hearing his backstory with like Frankie Valens and all them is fucking crazy.
Funny thing is also about his backstory, that scene in Goodfellas, the infamous, "What's so funny about me?"
Yeah.
That actually happened to Joe Pesci when he was working as a waiter. He was waiting on a mob guy, a connected guy, and he turned to him because he was telling jokes and everything, cracking everybody up, and he said, "You're funny," and that was exactly how the dude did it. He just made a total straight face. It was like at the drop of a hat. "How am I funny? Tell me how. What's so fucking funny about me?"
Yeah, I love the good the Family Guy version of that. He's like, "Oh, I'm funny, am I? How am I funny? You tell funny stories. Oh yeah, how am I fucking funny? Like Rita Rudna funny." He's like, "Oh my god, thank you." He's like, "You're funny." Like, "Am I like Rita Rudna funny?" He's like, "Yes, Rita Rudna." And I'm just like, that's fucking perfect.
And then Ray Liotta's like face acting when he's laughing in the whole scene.
Oh god, that fucking the weird collared shirts.
Yes.
And the weird they slant down like razors, and you can't see the head of the tie. And I'm just like, these guys look like they're choking to death half the time. When
They probably were.
Yeah.
Especially the bigger dudes, they're just like,
Some of those guys, man, would just be sweating standing still. So I was always kind of worried. Like, dude, he's not looking too good. Like, he looks like he's about to fall the fuck over.
I think my favorite scene, it's probably a lot of people's favorite scene, but I think it's just mine because I'm fucking nuts, is the it goes from Joe Pesci saying, yeah, this girl, she don't want to go out with me alone. You know, Italians.
Yeah.
And then it's like Ray Liotta's like counting some fucking money, just doing some like business shit.
Trying to ignore him.
They're trying to ignore him. He's like, no. Come.
What, Henry?
Henry.
I didn't even ask you anything yet.
You're going to ask me to go on a double date with this fucking bitch. And it's just like, that's how he meets his wife?
Yes.
It's this fucking backhanded bullshit.
Doesn't even want to be there. And the funniest thing about that was, like, as he's going off and trying to get out of the fucking thing, he glances over and there's the restaurant burning. And then he's like, fuck, see what you're fucking doing?
God
you
damn
big
it.
fucking mouth.
And like,
We gotta get out of here.
I love the double narration. The double narration's fantastic because as soon as that date starts, Karen starts her narration. And she's like, he had no interest in me, all this. And she started crying. Like, she's literally crying. And I think that's fucking hilarious because you're crying over a guy and eventually you're going to put a fucking pistol in his face.
Wake up, Henry.
The dichotomy of the Hill, of the other Hill family.
Yes.
Not Hank and Peggy,
Not
but Karen and Henry.
I want to see that version.
Hey, it's just
What did I say? Get on your side of the fence.
Say, who's this? Don't call the fucking house phone.
all I see is Hank Hill driving in the fucking truck, like coked out of his mind, going, you see that, Bobby? Them damn helicopters been following me all day.
Where are we going, Dad?
But it's funny because I just found this meme online. It was the dream sequence when Hank thinks he died.
Yes.
And then it's I'd rather be carried by 6 than be judged by 12, and he's talking to a cop. It's Hank Hill.
Oh man,
There's some thug life shit.
I think those gangster movies, you can't really replicate them as much anymore. Like, don't get me wrong, you got like The Irishman and stuff like that, but you don't get that same. How can I put it? That same glam that you had from like Casino, Goodfellas,
Well, I think
Mean Streets.
there's so much, you know,
All the tropes are there now.
Yeah.
But not just that, it's the what we saw was bad in those movies, like the murders
Yeah.
and stuff, are nothing compared to what other people are going to say. Well, he was sexist, he was misogynist, you know. He's like, well, no, you're talking about the fucking mob from the 60s. So
Yeah, of course,
they're going to
yeah.
be like that, but that's what they'll focus on and harp on, and it kind of it kind of ruins the dynamic. And you don't see a lot of that in like The Irishman because it's more gangster centric, and they try to keep extra characters out of it so much because they don't want that to be a target of it.
And see, like, a lot of it too with
And Martin Scorsese is also a fucking prick, so
yeah, that is very true. That is very, very true. I mean, like, with that movie, I liked it for what it was. You know, some people have mixed feelings about it, and I totally get it because it was very weird seeing De Niro doing that role because it was a lot different than what I expected. Same with Pesci, because Pesci's playing Russell Buffalino, who's totally different outside of his typecasting. Yeah. He was more so kind of like how he was in Raging Bull. I don't know if you've ever seen Raging Bull, where it's basically like, I don't know if you've seen it.
I never saw Raging Bull.
Raging Bull is great. It's like, it's Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci with their cliches swapped. So instead of Joe Pesci being the fiery one that's all over the place, it's Robert De Niro.
Really?
And it's a fucking great movie, man.
Yeah, Raging Bull is probably top 10 boxing movies of all time.
It was like a boxing / gangster movie, drama. Like, it had a little bit of everything. That's what I liked.
It's pretty good.
Think about those old gangster movies, like say Godfather, for example.
Yeah.
You're supposed to one of the hooks of the movie is like you're kind of feeling sympathy for these characters in certain ways.
But that's the whole point of, like, you take a monster that is a gangster, and you make people feel sorry for. The greatest is our review of The Sopranos as we go forward. Tony Soprano, angel or devil, and it's just like, no, that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make you like the devil, as much as possible,
basically.
But they still remind. In The Sopranos, what's great about that is that they remind you that this is the devil too.
And I think I think with like a lot of biopics, just about criminals, especially like serial killers and stuff, they try to ground them in some sort of reality. They're like, oh man, Ted Bundy got a parking ticket. Yeah, those things really do suck, don't they? While he's like gnawing a bitch to death. Like what the fuck?
That was like, I was just watching Netflix has the Nielsen tapes, like the interview with the serial killer or tapes of a serial killer, whatever the hell the actual name is, but it's about Dennis Nielsen, the serial killer in England, and it's his just personal recordings while he's in a cell. Like, humanizing him is one thing, but then it's like you start hearing about the case and you're like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, I would be on that shit though.
Like
Me too.
Like a Cosby Show version of like Jeffrey Dahmer. It's just like, oh god,
Keeping up with the Dahmers.
keeping up with the Dahmers. You can't beat them, eat them. He's just dancing.
Yeah,
But like real close and like really just sensual.
just do that wrist wave
With somebody else's arm.
Yeah, with somebody else saying it.
and then he takes a bite out of it.
Ooh, I should have left that one in the microwave a little bit longer.
It's just a version of Who's the Boss.
Oh my god.
But yeah, going into the Godfather, you know, probably the most renowned fucking gangster flick of all time. And let's go ahead and just kind of put these together because we'll be doing reviews on these individual movies anyway.
Yeah.
But I showed my dad Godfather 1 and 2. My dad had never seen that movie.
That's crazy.
And I said, you have got to watch this batshit insane story. I'm just like, it's long as fuck. So
but
take your time. But like, let's watch Godfather 1.
So there's a lot of, cinema in it, like there's a lot of art of cinema in it.
So like, I showed him that movie, and I'm like, hey, there's Tara Shire from Rocky, because that's where he knew her from. There's James Caan.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that is Tara Shire from... Oh, my God. I don't know why it took me so long to realize that.
Because you're not a fan, Quinn.
Damn it. I tried, man.
When we do this, when we do like a quiz show about movies, you better give me on your fucking A game.
Bring it.
Bring it. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's what this fucker said one time. Yeah, Hammer said.
Famous last words.
Yeah, that's what he said. Bring it. Look at this cocksucker coming into the bada bing. Talk about he's going to get all the bitches.
That's
how I got beaten with an ice bucket.
Conserve.
That's when you get that phone call where it's just like, I want you to, where it's like, yeah, somebody should take care of it. Are you saying what think you're saying? I didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Click.
I think you told me to kill that guy.
Yeah, I think
you know so many rules. Say it. The place could be bugged.
Don't use the house phone.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get you an outside line, which is like the line in Sopranos for like the first 5 seasons. Yeah. I need to get you an outside line.
Part of me wanted like a Pulp Fiction reference to pop up in that, where it's like, wait, are you calling me from a landline? Prank caller.
We were talking about this earlier. Would you say Pulp Fiction is a gangster movie?
To a degree, yeah.
Because it is the story of gangsters.
It is. Marcellus Wallace.
But it's not just those. It's not just that group, but also Bruce Willis is a big part of it too.
Yeah, so Bruce Willis, it's the Raging Bull story for that end.
Yes, very much.
He's a boxer, so he has dealings with Marcellus Wallace, and then you have his
motherfucker.
Then you have his 2 thugs, John Travolta and Sam Jackson, and then you have the other thugs who are just kind of meandering in the background.
Yeah,
and then you have the cleaner, Harvey Keitel, and then you have the associate, which is Quentin Tarantino, and then you have the heroin dealer who technically probably would work for Marcellus Washington.
Wasn't that Stephen Dorff? Or no, it wasn't Stephen Dorff. It was another child actor that actually was playing that heroin dealer.
Yeah, because he was real cool about a lot of shit in his motherfucking house.
Yeah.
I will say,
he had no choice.
But I like just a quick little thing about that. He's like, best line. When I bring an ODing bitch to your house, I'll give her the fucking shot. Okay? But you are just gonna hit her in the fucking chest, and it's just like this zombie fucking Uma Thurman. Oh god! And like, I will say, who the fuck just does a random bout of powder out of some dude's trench coat?
On top of that, too, if you've done.
She's very cavalier for someone
how did
who's a
you not
monster's
notice?
wife.
Yeah.
How did you not notice the difference in the color, in the appearance of it? I mean, there's a whole different
texture.
The texture, like she didn't even. That was just straight up
heroin.
Done.
Yeah. It's not even coke. It's heroin. And like another gangster part of it, you could think, in a broader like multiverse of the Quentin Tarantino universe, Mr. Orange didn't die. He just went nuts and became that guy from the diner.
Well, that's kind of like Mr. Pink did when he got arrested. If you listen at the end of Reservoir Dogs, Mr. Pink, you'll hear him in the parking lot saying, like, let go of me, I got shot, goddammit. Yeah. And then next thing you know, in Pulp Fiction, he's their fucking waiter. So I always joked and said, oh, Mr. Pink got busted, ratted on everybody else, went into witness protection, now he waits at Jackrabbit Slim's.
And it's easy to rat on everybody because they're all fucking dead.
Oh, yeah, it's easy. It's easy. You're the lone survivor.
But like Tim Roth just being Be cool, bitch. Tell your bitch to be cool. Be cool, honey bunny.
I think my favorite thing about finding out about that movie, though, is the Quentin Tarantino even verified this, that Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and Jackie Brown all take place at the exact same time. They are all happening at the same time in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it just reminds you of like how fucking crazy one city can be.
Oh, yeah.
Because all he had to do was say, Four Rooms is part of that too, right?
Really?
Four Rooms is in New York.
Oh, shit.
Because whoever's in Four Rooms has got Madonna, Tim Roth, Antonio Banderas.
Weirdest casting decisions ever, dude.
It's like so many fucking. I think Marissa Tomei's in it.
She is. Yes, she is.
Richie Aprile.
Richie Aprile's in it.
Richie
Yes,
Aprile's
he
in it. Such a wild fucking cast. And someone turned that movie on to me because we went to Family Video, and he's like, "Dude, you got to watch this movie." And it's just the weirdest, like Tim Roth being slapstick funny, but also encountering pretty much the four circles of hell.
Yeah, basically, it's the whole thing kind of gives
like witches, gangsters.
Yeah, really.
Quentin Tarantino.
New York City. Quentin Tarantino, and it does nothing. It's just him. Just him sitting in a room.
Just him and Bruce Willis
with
and a couple
feet pictures.
Yeah, feet pictures. But go back to The Godfather, man. Like, it's kind of a slow burn.
Yeah, on the first
me and
watch.
you had talked to Russ about this. Russ Ward from No Time to Turn.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of gives a great setup because it's a wedding.
Yeah.
Because a year later, after I watched that movie in high school, I got the book. I'd found the book at a restaurant I was working at. It had like a give-take policy on books. It was Mario Puzo's The Godfather. And I read that. And then I kept reading it, and I read the story about Luca Brasi.
Oh, with the baby.
Yeah, the hooker.
Yeah, that was fucked.
But like they leave it out of the movie, and like rightfully should, because the guy they got to play Luca Brasi was a real thug, was a real gangster.
Yep.
And Coppola had said that there was a scene, like a famous scene of Luca Brasi is going to ask something of the Godfather. Or he's going to say something. He's going to say something.
Yeah, he was basically
paying respects.
Yeah, paying respects, telling him that he's happy that his daughter got married. He's hoping they have a child, a healthy child, a masculine child. And he stutters.
But he's going over. He's saying it over and over. And Diane Keaton, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Diane Keaton catches and he's like, "Hey, who's that guy over there, Michael Corleone? He's got." I think, what is it, Bronze Star?
I think a Silver Star.
Yeah, he's got a Silver Star.
Because he just came back from
World War II.
Yeah, World War II in Italy.
Yeah, so he's a decorated soldier, an American soldier, not a soldier of the Italian mob. Mm-hmm. But he knows the story of Luca Brasi because he grew up in the Don's family.
Yep.
And his original plan was to not get involved.
No, that was the great thing about Michael Corleone's character is the guy who doesn't want to be in charge should be the one in fucking charge.
Even his father was, Vito was trying to keep him out of it throughout that whole film too.
Yeah, and what I like about it is he's doing the lines over and over again, and that's actually him just practicing his lines. They kept the camera on him, and what's really neat is they left it in the movie and were able to add that to the script as a noticeable thing that she finds, and I think that's kind of fascinating, really, on all that.
I mean, in addition to that too, he was sent by Joe Colombo, which there's actually a series on Paramount Plus now.
The Offer.
Thank you. I couldn't remember if it was the production or The Offer, but I've seen a couple of scenes on YouTube from it. I haven't watched it fully, but they really break that whole thing down. It's really interesting, that Joe Colombo scene where he meets with him, where the producer actually meets with Joe, because he kind of just laid it down pretty straight, like, okay, here's what you're going to write in the movie, and here's what you're going to take out. They removed the word mafia from that entire script. Any mention of it was omitted completely.
It's like Vince McMahon with wrestling.
The only time they ever do it is actually in part 2.
Yep.
Where they say La Cosa Nostra in the court scene. But yeah, it's like I showed my dad this. I'm like, this is the whole thing about subtlety. Like, that's the whole thing about the movie. It's about subtlety. But go back to that Offer thing real quick. The mafia a lot of people with the mafia showed up to the premiere, and one of them was sitting behind the director and like reached over, Good job, kid.
Oh my God.
Like, what fuck? How scary is that?
One of the dudes in the back of the fucking movie theater said, "Hey, if this is bad, you're not gonna make it to your car." Dude, and like, in back of your mind's like, you're laughing on the surface, but the back of your mind, you're going, he fucking meant that shit. Like, I'm seriously gonna end up in the trunk of my fucking car.
Yeah, good thing a lot of the mafia was gone by Godfather 3.
Yeah, for real. You're not wrong, dude.
But yeah, the Godfather is just, for those who don't know, tell the story of the Corleone family. Don Corleone, who came over from Corleone, Italy, got his name changed by some asshole at El Salvador.
Of course.
Just like Phil Leotardo.
It was supposed to be Leonardo, but they changed us for a fancy man's dress.
Is that why you hate the queers, man? Is that why?
I mean, he did come out of the closet when he killed Vito.
Yeah. We were watching. I showed him the whole thing. His feel gay.
I compromised. I jerked off on a napkin instead.
But so like, what do you think? Like, what are some of the best moments you pull from those movies, 1 and 2?
I think in
because
one,
I consider 1 and 2 like one movie.
It really is.
Story, yeah.
It's like a direct continuation of the end of the first one. I honestly found the Godfather movies a lot more artsy than they were true to life in some ways. I mean, there are actual stories riddled within it. Like, for example, the singer that comes to the wedding is actually supposed to be based off of Frank Sinatra. Yep. The story that they're talking about is when Frank Sinatra was in Tommy Dorsey's band, where Luca Brasi, they said, put a gun to the band leader, conductor, put a gun to his head and basically gave him the decision: either you sign that paper or
kill you right now.
Sign with ink or your blood.
And that was Tommy Dorsey. That actually happened. That was to get Frank Sinatra released from Atlantic because Frank Sinatra had mob connections.
Yeah, and I think we could probably dedicate a whole 2-part episode, maybe a 3-part episode on the fucking Godfather series.
I think so.
The second one was one of my favorites just because of finding out that De Niro originally tried out for Sonny. Yeah. James Caan's character in the first film, and he ended up just playing Vito.
Yeah, and we were talking.
That was his big break.
Yeah,
we were talking about it before. We was talking about a show called New Girl, where a guy grabs his buddy's face and kisses him. He's like, "Did you just fucking Fredo kiss me, bro?"
I knew it was you, Fredo.
Why did you Fredo kiss me? I'm not going fishing with you. And I showed that to my dad twice. I said, "Look at the reflection. That's what you happen." Because it's Fredo and that guy going on the boat. Yeah. And then you don't really hear anything, and then it's the reflection again. It's just the guy on the boat. Yep. And I said it adds to the subtlety, and it is kind of vague, like what Fredo did. Like he allied with Mo Green, and then Mo Green tried to fuck over the Corleone family altogether.
And he forgave him that time, but then what really was the nail in the coffin was when Hyman Roth tried to have him killed. Mm-hmm. And that, funny as it is, Dominic Canese, who plays Uncle Junior in The Sopranos, is actually in the second film too. Yeah. He's Johnny Ola. Yeah. And that's when they send that one hitman over to kill both Johnny Ola and Hyman Roth.
I really gravitated to the end of part 2 because of what was happening with Hyman Roth in Cuba. Because of what was going on at the time. So there's that party that's going on, but shit outside isn't really going well. Mm-mm. And what it is, it's Batista losing control of Cuba to Fidel Castro.
Yeah, right.
So you're having the Cuban Revolution as the backdrop of the changing of the guard of gangsters. Yeah. Especially when you see it real good when they move to Nevada.
Yeah, especially.
Early in the movie with Michael Corleone, and he's got his kids. But yeah, that's a fantastic set of movies. To me, that's probably top 5 at least.
One thing that that movie taught me is that when you read about the Appalachian meeting with all the 500 different mob members, and then you hear about the whole thing that happened in Havana, it just kind of leads me to believe maybe the mob shouldn't meet anywhere in fucking large numbers. No. There's always some bad shit pops off.
There's there's a tension. There's like somebody's got a problem with somebody.
Oh yeah, and they're usually gonna talk that out, because one thing about the whole mob thing is that when it was really put in motion by Luciano, Meyer Lansky, and a few others. I can't think of all their names right now. When they really put
Al Capone era.
Yeah, when they were putting everybody kind of together to keep from all the infighting, all the little gangs fighting for a couple of blocks of territory.
It was basically just Chicago and New York.
Yeah.
And Atlantic City.
Yep.
You had your Nucky Thompsons, you had your Arnold Wallsteins, the grandfather of all mafia.
Thank you. Yeah. That was the name I was forgetting about.
He made a man choke on a pool ball. It's fascinating.
What?
You never heard that story?
No.
So the guy who rigged the World Series, Arnold Rothstein, was a billiards player, a fantastic billiards player.
No shit.
And there was a guy at a local place.
He was a guy.
It was Chicago, and he would do this trick where he could take a pool ball, swallow it partially, and gurge it back up. Arnold Rothstein was fascinated. He said, "Do it. I'll give you $500." And in Chicago money in 1920s,
Oh, that's fucking great.
That's a deal. And he's like, "But I get to choose the ball." The guy says, "Okay, sure." He picks the cue ball. For those who don't know, the cue ball's bigger. The cue ball's slightly bigger and heavier than the goddamn billiard balls. And the dude choked and died. And he killed him for fucking entertainment.
It's like, well,
I guess I don't have to pay him.
yeah, I don't know what the quip was.
Hey, Luciano, put some fucking crack on this motherfucker.
You think we could play craps on this guy?
Yeah. But yeah, a great story version of this is Boardwalk Empire, which tells the story of all these assholes.
Another great gangster series too, right there. Very good series.
I might watch that after the damn Sopranos rewatch.
You'll love that.
We'll do a fucking series about that because the Klan shows up and they put them the fuck down.
They fuck the Klan up, and that was like my favorite part was having all of them like all gathered, hands up, like waiting to rob
because
them.
That's just in gangsters. The Klan but it was a gang.
Yeah,
but it was all over the United States. It was a religious terrorist group.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, most gangs didn't fucking like the Klan. It was very rare that there was ever any gang that worked with the Klan, and only times they ever worked with them was out of convenience or just because they had something they wanted. 9 times out of 10, they'd kill them like anybody else.
With the Italian mob, it was pretty, racist too, where it's like keep everything close to your blood and that kind of stuff.
Of course,
all that shit.
Yeah. Going into probably one of my favorite movies of all time, and I told people, if I ever taught civics, I would play this movie because it's the American dream. Scarface.
Oh hell yeah!
Speaking of Cuba,
if I ever taught a movie about civics,
yes.
I would say, all right, dude, we're watching.
Your introduction to your civics class, you have to come in playing Pushing to the Limit.
Yeah. Oh god. Just push it to the limit. The limit.
Well, cocaine mustache and all.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, kids, we're gonna talk about the revolution or how a bunch of white guys took control. Yeah. Fuck the crown. Yeah.
Well, why do you think every rapper and hip hop guy in the early '90s, referenced Scarface or dressed like Scarface?
I think Scarface was the change of the guard, kind of like
very much so.
So like we get all these Italian stories. The original Scarface movie.
Oh yeah, with about Al Capone.
Yeah, and it's an allegory of want and consequence because he dies at the end.
Yeah,
goes nuts.
And this version of Scarface, the backdrop with Oliver Stone is. All right, it's the rise of cocaine in the early 70s. It's the transformation from the DEA to Just Say No in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And then it ends. But the backdrop in the beginning is the Cuban refugee crisis.
Yep.
And America's policy under Jimmy Carter was an open policy to let refugees in, which actually still stands today. If any refugee from a communist country that comes to the United States is actually welcome, they've never bothered to change that because of communism. It's a red herring, as they say in Clue.
You're not wrong.
But like it is an open policy unless it's from a allied country,
right?
Such as like China. So and it plays well in Vietnam as well because that's where the policy came from. It was people escaping Vietnam and Korea, due to the invasion of communism to come to the United States.
That's where you have like Koreatown and the very large Vietnamese population that would sprout up in like northern Los Angeles, things of that nature.
Yeah, it all works out in 92.
Yeah, right. Yeah, roof Koreans.
Yeah, but Scarface. You've seen this movie?
Oh yeah,
and you've seen this.
Oh,
movie.
Of course,
dozens of times.
My dad showed me this movie.
my dad did too.
Yeah. My dad's like, we're watching this fucking movie. This movie's the shit.
How old were you?
I was probably 12.
I was about 13. I was about 13 when I watched it with my father.
It was when we had a DVD player. And it was probably like the 4th or 5th movie I ever saw on a DVD at the time. Because the movies I saw on DVD when they first came out was The Matrix.
Nice.
Tombstone, widescreen edition.
You're damn right.
Damn right. And then it was like a handful of movies. And then someone gave my dad Scarface, the special edition. My mom had left for the evening. And my dad's like, we're watching this fucking movie. And I'm watching this wide-eyed, like, these guys are fucking monsters. Because I grew up, back, like, you don't know this, but, like, my sister had a babysitter who ran a video store, and I would be with her and her stepson. And
you had mentioned you grew up in one. I never had the chance to learn about it.
It just fascinated me, like all the movies on the show.
Of course.
But it was around the time of the transition from VHS to DVDs.
Nice.
Heavy Metal 2000 poster was being put
Hell
on the wall
yeah.
when I was there.
Hell yeah.
Very nice.
So when I saw Scarface, I was just amazed. I'm like, we got to watch this again. And he's like, of course we're going to watch it again. But like, it's such a fascinating movie, and the people that are in it, and you don't really see them anywhere else except as background characters in some other stuff, like his brother.
Yeah, looks
Manny.
nothing like him, by the way.
Yeah.
No, and Manny really didn't do any. That actor, he's still alive. He looks good for his age.
Yeah, he
too.
was in Breaking Bad.
Oh, was he really?
He was Giancarlo's brother.
Yes,
Oh,
you are
no
right. Yeah.
shit.
That smile. The smile is what gave it away.
He was the other Pollos Loco brother.
That's awesome.
Now you mentioned it was Oliver Stone. Was it not Brian De Palma that made Scarface?
Oliver Stone and Brian De Palma worked together. Brian De Palma directed it.
Okay.
I can definitely see how that was
Stone wrote it, because Oliver Stone
yeah.
has a weird sense of history.
Yeah.
But he's also, his writing style too, you can usually tell when it's an Oliver Stone movie, because you could look at Platoon and Scarface both around the 80s, and they both have that same grit to them, even though Scarface is much more colorful just because it's
a
Miami.
cartoon. It's like a cartoon of the cocaine.
Really? Yeah.
Or it's like a cartoon of the American Dream.
Yeah. But like,
Pretty much.
But think about the story of Scarface. Tony Montana. Most American fucking name you can think of.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And his intro to this country, he's being harassed by authority. He helps with the revolution, kills a communist to escape, just for the ability to escape encampment, imprisonment. He works with Manny at a fucking like taco shack, like
Washing dishes
at a little Cuban coffee taco shack, and they're like, "Hey man, can you do the frog? What's his name? The Toad, Hector the Toad.
Yeah,
is the one who
yeah,
hires
yeah.
him." And he's like, "Hey, we need you to go to this hotel. You're gonna break some drugs. You're gonna buy some drugs, and you're gonna leave with some drugs. Period. That's it." And the scene ensues.
Yeah. It's just one turning point after another
It's
into
that catalyst.
Like, the axe.
It's that catalyst for the cocaine
and
nightmare.
Tony, and he legitimately says his brother Angel. That's what he says. His brother Angel, and it's probably a brother in blood because they fought communism in Cuba. So it's not probably really his brother, but his brother gets killed by a Colombian with a chainsaw.
Yep.
And he's next, and the scene is so visceral because his blood is splashing on his face, and how they did that scene, they had to do it like 10 times because they couldn't get the blood right, and it got in his eyes, and that's why he stopped blinking after a while, because he just saw it coming. And that's why the curtain going over his face, that's actually someone in the bottom moving the curtain.
I noticed that too. I was like, why is the curtain moving? That guy's not moving unless he's like kicking it with his foot.
So they do that scene, and what's funny is some of the people outside there were extras. Some of the people weren't.
Oh fuck, are you serious?
So some of those people saw a psychotic man
with a
run down the
chainsaw.
stairs with a chainsaw with no blade, by the way, just
Covered in blood.
covered in blood. And then it's like Rebecca, bah! And it's just like grab the yayo. That's what it was. Manny comes in last because Manny's been
Chico
sexually harassing this woman on the sidewalk the whole time.
I fucking love that running gag in that movie where it's like Manny can get no fucking action at all. Every scene he's hitting on a girl, she gets the fuck away from him as soon as possible.
I remember my dad, we were watching it. My dad like tapped me on the shoulder. He watched this, and it's fucking like Manny doing the tongue to that, and then he's
What
I'm just like,
Chino does too. He's just like,
in my
watch
mind,
this.
I have no idea why he does that tongue. But when I'm older, I'm just like, that's fucking hilarious. And it's just like, you keep that thing in your fucking mouth.
Now with like a lot of these gangster movies, there's
Manny also appears in Primal Fear with Ed
oh
Norton.
shit, yeah,
He's Richard Gere's other client who gets
that's
killed.
right. I totally forgot about that. Fuck.
Another fun movie to watch is Primal Fear. Just
I haven't
Ed
watched
Norton
that in
losing his
so
goddamn
long.
mind.
Again?
He goes full Brother Vineyard.
Yeah.
Over him.
It goes.
I'll rip her fucking head off. He's just choking fucking old girl.
Oh my
It's
God.
like he goes the opposite way that he did in Fight Club. Where
These
it's
are
like
all these terrible movies my dad probably should have shown me when I was a kid. He's like, you gotta watch this shit.
I think everybody's father at some point just kind of brought them into the room. It's like, hey, you want to watch a movie? Don't tell your mother.
He showed me anime horror as a kid, and I'm just like, and it's so practical. The effects are so practical in that there's a scene where it's just like two yellow lights in the dark, and I'm just like, that bothered me for a while.
No, my dad wanted to show me like Lawrence of Arabia, fucking
The Criterion Collection.
MGM's greatest.
The Ten Commandments.
Oh my God, Charlton Heston.
Yeah, that was
A commandment in every house and a Glock in every ass.
Praise
From
the
my
Lord.
cold dead hands.
Praise the Lord, past the ammunition. I'm sure Red Dawn was in there at some point too.
Red Dawn, Stranger Things, Red Dawn. But yeah, that's how I got introduced. And like, I played the video game. Did you ever play the video game?
The Godfather or
the Scarface?
The Scarface one, yes.
Dude, they were gonna make a second one and they never did.
Dude, I think I have it in my room.
It's so
Scarface
fucking good.
PlayStation. I know I just need a PlayStation 2.
It's so fucking good.
Lemmy from Motorhead's in that game.
Yeah.
He's like a biker or something
Well, you sell drugs.
Yeah.
You kill people and you get ate by a shark if you're in the ocean too long.
Yeah, and the funny thing is though too, it was pretty much a rival for GTA even at that time because there was so much more to do. Like
you could actually sell drugs.
You could actually sell drugs and build a drug empire.
But like going back to it, like the guy who was after Lopez.
Yeah.
Of Lopez Motors, he talks about fuck Gaspar Gomez and fuck the fucking DS brothers. You meet those people in that game.
Yeah.
You kill the DS brothers on an island.
Yep.
And it's a hard fucking mission. Like
that was one of the hardest missions in gaming history, if I remember right. Too.
Yeah, because the whole alternate history of Scarface, the video game, was he turned around fast enough to shoot that guy.
Yeah.
So what happened if he didn't die?
Yeah, if he didn't die, and the tiger eats a cop, it is fucking hilarious.
It is the funniest shit ever. Like that was probably the best writing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, they make a one line of dialogue about Michelle Pfeiffer because he doesn't know where she's at. She got out.
Yeah, that was the only thing.
Yeah, and he kind of reminisces about Manny. About him killing Manny. Oh damn! I should have killed Manny. God damn it!
Oh yeah, that's right. He even kind of goes, "I miss Manny."
Yeah, I miss my buddy Manny.
Who I killed.
You fucking psycho bitch.
You shot your best friend because you just had the slightest inkling he might have been sleeping with your sister. Which the fucked up thing is, I think about Casino, kind of moving back a little bit to what we were saying earlier with Goodfellas and Casino, where it was Joe Pesci's character was fucking around with Robert De Niro's wife, and that was a big fucking deal for the mob because that was ultimately something that would have fucked up their whole operation.
Yeah.
There's a dude that was on YouTube. I'm sure he still has his videos up there. He's since passed now. He had COVID. But Frank Collada, Frank Vincent's character in that's who Frank Collada was based off of. But Collada had nothing to do with Tony Spilotro or Joe Pesci's character's death. Nicky Santoro in that movie.
And the cool thing about Scarface is, it's the other mafia.
Yes.
The other thug. It's the
cartel, basically.
Yeah, the cartel, the Hispania. You got, and in the real life, you got, your Pablo Escobars, your Griselda Blancos, the Ochoas. So many storylines just from the cartels. We get so many great movies like Blow, Cocaine Cowboys documentary, Cocaine Cowboys 2.
You get the series of Narcos as well.
Narcos.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Hey, the 8th richest man in the world is riding around in the trunk in fucking Sao Paulo.
I always thought that was
enough to pay off the national debt.
Yes, like the GDP of like a native, like a national ally.
Oh yeah, no, like he could have started his own country. The funny thing is, my father, he's married now, but my stepmother is originally from Colombia. Like her entire family comes from Bogota. She had a chunk of her family that actually lived in Medellin, and really everybody more or less worked for Pablo Escobar at some point.
Is it Medellin or Medellin?
Medellin. They say
Medellin in like Scarface. I think it's because it's more of an English pronunciation.
Okay.
And like down there, it's Medellin because each country's got a different kind of dialect when it comes to Spanish.
Well, like Brazil, they speak Portuguese. They don't speak Spanish.
We don't talk to them.
But speaking of Brazil, this is kind of a movie not a lot of people I talk to know, but is probably one of the greatest gangster movies.
I already know it.
What is it?
City of God.
Fuck yes,
City of God.
That
Jesus
movie
Christ.
that broke my fucking heart.
You know how I saw that movie?
How?
I had to be at school the next day. It was a Thursday. And
Was it just a random middle of the night thing?
on IFC?
Yeah, same.
I watched a lot of shit on IFC too.
Whitest Kids You Know in City of God.
Yeah.
Dude, that was exactly what happened. I watched Whitest Kids, I was laughing, and then all of a sudden this came on, and I'm like, I'll
Hey,
see
what are
what
these
this
little
is
kids
about.
doing? And why are they stabbing this dude to death over candy?
And then it was like the fucking scene where they corral all of them, and they shoot the one kid in the fucking foot. I was just like, dude, what the fuck
And
is this?
It's the story of three guys, a white kid and two South American kids, and their rise. And one story, and it's about this one guy. And I'm going to be quick about it because I would love to do like a watch along to this one. But
I gotta see this
it's in
movie.
the Criterion Collection actually.
It's a great movie.
But no, they all grow up, and one is a photographer for the local newspaper who's having an affair with a white lady, of
course,
in Brazil.
of course.
And the other one is the coldest thug ever. And a
fucking
monster cuts
psychopath.
people's heads off. He don't give a fuck. And the other guy is his rival, his
Yep.
best friend, the
Yep.
white guy,
Yep.
the white kid with red hair is
Yep.
the kid who grew up to be the coldest Portuguese speaking motherfucker in Brazil.
Oh my god.
And it's all
him-
set in Rio de Janeiro, the city of God.
And really, the one of the biggest gang cities on the planet. That is
Rio?
like gangster city, Rio. The favelas, the pretty much where the El Cristo de Redeemer is, the
the
statue of
Redeemer.
Christ.
Yeah.
That whole stretch of housing that's working
The
its way
slums.
down to the city is all slums. It's
Yeah.
that's where people pretty much live off of pennies practically, and
Yeah.
the only thing for you to do is to sell drugs, to join a gang, to pretty much engage in all acts of violence.
Yeah,
But
and-
City of God really shows that.
I'm glad someone saw that movie because every time I
Fucking
talk about
love
that movie,
that
no one's
movie.
like, "What kind of fucking movie have you been watching?" I'm
That
like,
shit
"This is
won
one of
Academy
many."
Awards, bro.
Yeah, this is
That
one
shit's
of many.
great.
It's right up, dude. It's almost as good as Amazing Colossal Man.
I don't know about that. That's
Really?
that's the,
I
the
watched
bar
that
is
watch
high.
along, bro.
He watched it. He watched.
Oh
I sent
my
the link to the watch
God.
along. And it's just like,
If it wasn't for you guys, I definitely would have lost a few brain cells watching that because I was like, God damn.
but he's just a man.
I am a man.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
That's for real. I was getting room flashbacks.
But yeah, that was City of God.
But yeah.
That movie's great.
And it kind of like refreshes itself at the end because the guy who one of the friends who grew up the monster of the three escapes and is bleeding out, and he gets killed by two kids, just like how he became into power.
Yep.
When him and his buddies killed that other thug gangster.
What kind of goes into The Wire, where
Yeah.
it's like The Wire, Michael becomes Omar. It pretty much the game doesn't
Everyone
change.
escalates a point.
The game never
Right.
changes. The only thing that changes are the faces and the names.
Yeah. Well,
Now-
I was going to say, like, we talked about like Brazil and all that. What you don't see in a lot of movies is like Crip and Blood stories or anything like that in movies.
So that kind of plays a good effect in Cocaine Cowboys 2.
Does it really?
Yeah, because when he's talking about Griselda Blanco in L.A.
Yeah, that's right.
and the killings in L.A. and how far the cartel was willing to go in L.A.
Yeah.
But you're right. Crips and Bloods don't get a lot of attention. The only last time I saw the Crips and Blood mentioned in media on a gangster level was in Tahoe. The guy, the Green Beret who defended his home from 23 Crips.
Oh yeah, and he invited all of his Green Beret friends over for a barbecue.
He's like, yeah, bring your own bullets.
Yeah, and they fucking that whole street.
They held their own fucking own.
Yeah,
Because like movies like say Boys in the Hood or what's another one
like South Central.
Colors.
Colors actually does mention a real Norteño or Sereno gang, El Barrio White Fence. That's 100% real gang still operating.
Well, the only
to this
thing I
day,
can think
too.
of, it's kind of like a prequel, but it's a show me and Cap know well. It's Snowfall.
Yeah.
Mikey keeps telling me to watch Snowfall.
Yeah, we did a podcast with him. Fantastic series. I've never seen my dad root for a fucking crack dealer so much. Like, I'm like, Franklin, there's no lying in you. it's that mentality. Like, the Medellin cartel is like, Franklin, I like you. There's no lie. Just an Israeli guy handing him 2 keys of cocaine to a fucking 18-year-old, and it's like, go out there and be somebody. What? It's like,
It's all about like crack cocaine in the 80s in South Central.
And I
it's
think
the beginning of crack cocaine. Riz is in it.
Yeah.
He's in Oakland. He's in Oakland and shows him how to make crack.
trying to remember the
Yes.
name of that documentary that had that was about Freeway Ricky Ross.
Oh, yeah.
Cracking the System.
Yeah.
And that actually goes into the Medellin cartel operating there, but it also goes into the fact that basically the CIA was helping supply them cocaine to sell on the streets of Los Angeles because they were insiders. They were pretty much your mole, your rats that were in the whole cartel.
That's what Snowfall does. They kind of
Really?
have a CIA character. They have
Hell yeah.
Teddy is the most dangerous motherfucker in that goddamn show.
Oh, I
Yeah.
believe it.
Teddy's
Those
like-
CIA guys working for that shit. I mean, the CIA guy in Narcos was fucking unhinged.
Oh, he had to be.
Dude, he just was not there.
Dude,
like,
he lived in a dichotomy of coke, guns, and money. And like, that was the economy. There was nothing else in the economy other than coke, guns, and cash. There was no credit system. There was no banks. There was no diamond industry. There was no groceries you had to buy because you just did coke.
how do you eat?
Coke.
What? Coke. Where do you sleep? On the Coke.
It's soft. It's better than a Tempur-Pedic, motherfucker.
Memory foam? Have you ever tried memory blow?
But like, it reminded me of that is I turned my dad on that show, and he fucking loves it.
Of course.
And he was watching a thing. It was one of those CNN Back to the 80s, you know, just one of those kind of like 10 episode things where they're just
Hell
going
yeah.
deep into the 80s.
Yeah.
And they're talking about the rise of crack and stuff. And the song came on. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Whoop,
Oh,
whoop,
shit, yeah.
Sound of the beast. And like, when it gets to that second verse, Sound of the Beast, I'm in the kitchen making a sandwich and I sing it, Sound of the Beast. And my dad's like, how do you know that? I'm just like, it's about crack. Everyone knows that song.
It's a classic, dude.
This was my generation's jams, Dad.
Yeah, this is like our classic rap station.
For real, though.
So we learned a lot about gang culture.
But the way he looked at
from
me,
the radio.
the way he looked at me, I thought it was just like fantastic. I'm just like, you probably heard it. You were in your 20s when that song came out.
So you know how I learned about civics? Cash rules everything around me.
Yeah.
I think one of like the one of the other things that recently they haven't really gone into until recently, pardon me, was a lot of the Mexican cartels, how they operate more like paramilitary groups, especially.
Because they have
Really, it started out as just the guys doing the plaza stuff, but like now it's
It's basically like, it is the Wild Wild West.
yeah, to a full extent, Wild Wild West, but fully automatic weapons.
Yeah, and like, you know, you got your running gunners, which is no different from your running gun Wells Fargo bankers from the Wild West. Have you guys ever heard about those guys? Like,
Yes, I have.
you ever seen the wagon on the logo?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what those guys really were? Fucking guns for hire, trying to move
Yep.
money across
and
the West.
You know what's funny about that too? My father told me that because he works for Wells Fargo.
Those are bad motherfuckers back in the
They
day.
were.
You
They-
come from Wells Fargo, you better pay with your fucking life.
Double barrel shotguns, man. They'd even have a guy sitting inside with one. Usually it was sawed off too, which was
Yeah.
the fucked up thing.
Yeah.
That was like
He was
rock
ready to
salt
fuck-
type
he
of
was ready to
shit.
fucking rock.
He was ready to go.
Because who else? Everyone's out there. The fucking Comanche, the Mormons.
The Mormons. Oh man, the Mormons are coming for your money.
Dude, the Mormons didn't fuck around either, man. They were fucking savages, just like the fucking
They shot
Comanche.
up. They shot some people to shit. The Mormons. They
Yeah.
actually were not
You talk
fucking
about
around
some
back
thugs. Salt Lake City. I want to see a movie about the LDS. You know what I'm saying?
then. There was that series Murder Among Mormons. So that
dude was a thug. That
he,
dude was a,
he fucking
changed
blew
the religion.
people up. He did the Cleveland mob shit.
Yeah,
he was just
changed the
blowing
religion.
people up.
He changed the
shit.
religion. He added a lizard. Like, that's what he did. He added a salamander.
What's this called? He's serious. The Murder Among
Mormons.
Yeah.
Murder
Some bad
Among-
motherfucker. And they talk about it like it's 80s. The
Yeah.
whole like dun dun dun, dun the synth,
Yeah.
the synth dun dun dun.
You gotta have the synth in that beat.
They're running around a fucking 80s Mustang, got fucking Mac 10s. Just fucking
Go with Christ.
Yeah, go with Christ. Running
Dressed
fanny
in-
packs and windbreakers and shit.
I was thinking they all kind of looked like Michael Douglas and falling down with the fucking white shirt and the black tie.
Meanwhile, they got like five.
Tough question. Was he justified in that?
In some parts, yes. In other parts, no. That's why I always like Robert Duvall's character a little bit more. It's
Would you
like,
chill?
yeah, where one's going down, the other one's coming up, like coming from out of a bad thing. Like, dude, you need to relax.
So go to do another gangster flick before we run out of material. Because this is just the intro episode for our favorites.
Yes.
Of course.
Casino. Which
Casinos-
I actually didn't see till later in life.
Really?
I saw Goodfellas, Godfather, all these fucking movies, these thug like Heat and stuff like
Oh,
that.
nice. Yeah.
And like I saw all these movies and Scarface and everything. I'm just like, my buddy had Casino on DVD. I'm like, well, let's just sit down and watch it.
That's kind of like the Dark Horse.
Yeah, it is a dark horse.
Very
it's not
much.
It's not as famous, and it is rough. Like
It
there's
is.
there's a lot of exposition in there.
It's long.
Yeah.
and it is it's fucking long. The blueberries they bothered me.
That actually happened. That's
Yeah.
a fucked up thing. That
Yeah.
Arnold Oh my god, I just totally... Lefty Rosenthal.
Yeah.
He actually fucking even did that. Like, interrupted the dude that was talking to him. It's like, hold on a minute, let me go to the kitchen. And fucking... imagine you come into work that day, you're like, dealing with, like, a worst hangover of your fucking life. You're making, like, probably $30 an hour working in this place, which at that time was probably great, you know, but you're working for the mob, so you don't know if somebody's about to get killed in your fucking kitchen. And this asshole comes in going, I want an equal amount of blueberries in each muffin.
And I love his face. You know how hard that's going to be?
I don't give a fuck.
And I'm just like, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
I think that movie really... It's one of those films where it didn't have the novelty that Goodfellas had, but there's still a lot of really good novelty in it.
I think it's because it's so serious.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's not as much joking.
There's that comically long explosion of the car.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, fuck, let me just get out of this motherfucker. And then it explodes.
Then it just kind of ends.
Yeah, then it just kind of ends. But I like, you know, Goodfellas, where it's like, well, that's my story, and this Henry Hill in front of a fucking
shtook.
And then cut to Sid Vicious playing My Way.
Yeah.
But
De Niro's just like, that's that. In Casino. It's kind of anticlimactic.
And the cast in that is no less, you know, better or worse than Goodfellas.
No, yeah, Robert De Niro, Sharon Stone, Kevin Pollak, Joe Pesci.
I'd argue Joe Pesci's performance in Casino was like better.
I think it's better. Over the top. I think it's better because of the way he goes out in that movie.
Yeah.
What happens to him is fucking heart wrenching in the cornfield.
Even though he was like an animal in that fucking movie.
Yeah, he is a monster, but he deserved every fucking bit of it. But when they kill his brother in front of him, and it's just, oh god, that
beating. Scene was it's funny as fuck, because I was talking to my mom a couple of months ago too about the movie, and she's like, I always fucking catch that one scene. And like the fucked up thing is, that's what I always catch too. Every time I walk past somebody's watching Casino, it's like I see the scene where they beat the shit out of the dude, they break his hand in the fucking back room of the casino for cheating, and then come back out to go grab a drink or something. I look over at the TV, and there's fucking Joe Pesci being held up watching his brother getting beaten to death. And it's like, god damn it.
That's the one that would come on TV all the time.
Yeah. For real, though.
That kind of reminds me of that show Oz. My friend, I turned her and her parents onto it, and like she would get home from college, and like every time she'd walk in the show Oz, but every time she walked in the house, it'd just be a dude with his dick out. Just like, every time I come home, there's a guy with his dick out. That's all I see.
Oh my god.
Prison rape scene, probably.
Hey man, the best scene in that was still when one of Basic got killed, where it was like you thought the one dude was about to get raped, like everybody else that he had found, like the Italian mobster guy, but then like all of a sudden you just see the blood splatter, and dude just comes out like nothing happened.
Oh yeah, Adebisi and Kareem Saeed.
Yep.
My favorite character
Kareem Saeed.
Kareem
Saeed was a cold motherfucker.
Head up until that episode.
Constantly.
Coolest motherfucking guy in that cell.
I still think though, like Casino has some pretty cool scenes though. A lot of the cutaway stuff, like the best stuff is still like Joe Pesci's monologues. Like they bring those back. I think his monologues were probably the funniest thing, because you had some really good fucking zingers in there. Like for one example is when the two dudes from Chicago are at the casino just giving one of the dealers a hard time, and he goes up and before he walks up to him, he's like, you know, I got to keep the place from getting robbed, and I'm dealing with degenerate fucking animals here. Like take these two fucking balloon heads for example. And then there's the scene where he's coked out and he's pretty much coming down fucking furious, and he keeps losing at the fucking blackjack table, so he's just cursing out the dealer.
Take this, stick it up your mother's ass. Take this, stick it up your sister's ass.
Guy's just sitting there, the fuck are you looking at him for?
Well, I think a cool part of that was it kind of explained the Kansas City connection, which never got brought up in a lot of other gangster movies, was the mob had moved out to Kansas City. Yeah. But,
basically.
Then moved out to KC and was able to network with Vegas and, you know, more out west. And
a lot of it really was controlled by the Chicago mob, which was known as the Outfit at that time. The film The Departed goes into what was called The Office, the mob in Boston, but
or back home, as they say in Casino.
Back home years ago, because the reason why they keep saying that is because the Chicago Outfit is still one of the strongest mob families that is still operating to this day. Same with the Genoveses from New York City, because they've kept everything so low key. It wasn't for Tony Spilotro or Nicky Santoro in the movie that kind of blew the lid on everything. Pretty much how you saw it go down was how it went the fuck down.
Yeah, and I doubt they heard any type of Rolling Stones or
Oh, hell no.
Layla.
That was like
The best use of the song Layla is fucking
It
considered.
really
best
is.
use of Gimme Shelter too, because it was the fucking live version too.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those rare live versions where I think it was live in the Netherlands is the one that they used.
I think you're right.
And like,
Stones
dude,
guy, right on.
oh, I fucking love that version, man, because that woman just sings and like
You
her
ever heard
voice
the
goes
you
so
ever heard
well
the story
with it.
about that girl? You never heard the story about the studio version?
No.
Quick story. Story time, kids.
It's a great story.
The girl who belts out the fucking line, rape and murder, was 8 months pregnant, drunk as hell, came in, first take. That's a wrap, guys. That's it. They woke her the fuck up.
That is so awesome, dude.
And she did it in one take. That's a goddamn fact.
And it's insane because that's the same chick that's even singing it on the live version for that song when Joe Pesci's going into court. Fun fact also about that movie: that lawyer that works for Sam or Robert De Niro's character and Nikki is the same lawyer that worked for both of the original guys. That's
Really?
Oscar. I forgot his last name, but Frank Collada had like an interview with him briefly. They never really talked because Frank and him didn't really like each other because Frank called him out on his bullshit quite a lot.
Well, going into another gangster movie, it's probably not more of our generation, even though we've talked about the Godfather, Goodfellas, and stuff. Is The Untouchables?
It's a great fucking movie.
Classic.
That's like you actually get,
This is
a
more
movie about Al Capone.
Yeah, this is actually, this is the movie of the
Prohibition.
cops, but on the cops' point of view, because we don't
Yeah.
get a lot of cops. When
Very
we're
rarely.
watching movies about gangsters, we're not talking about the fucking police.
Except
We can't
in
trust-
Casino, where fucking Joe Pesci goes, they're gonna watch me. Fuck them, I'll watch them right back. And he's got all the surveillance equipment.
But yeah, The Untouchables, the fall of Al Capone.
Yeah.
And when I was watching that, I love the story of Al Capone. The IRS is the one that got his ass. Of
course.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. It's
And syphilis.
And syphilis. And I read that later on, like what happened to him. Like, damn, that's fucking tragic. And that movie kind of prepped me for the Johnny Depp movie. What is that?
Public Enemy.
Public Enemy, which is
John Dillinger.
the preamble to the mafia. At that time, the mafia is running just a racketeering racket of just the gambling, international gambling. But because of these real gangsters who rob banks,
Like your Bonnie and Clydes
your
and
Bonnie
stuff
and
like
Clyde's,
Yep. Babyface Nelson.
Babyface Nelson,
Pretty
Pretty
Boy
Boy Floyd. Pretty
Yep.
Boy Floyd is a tragic fucking story.
He that
in a
broke
fuck-
my heart.
He died in a fucking orchard.
Yep.
Getting shot by Melvin Purvis. And fun fact, Melvin Purvis killed himself not long after John Dillinger died.
Because John Dillinger got fucking murdered.
Yeah,
he
got-
just walked out of a movie theater and got lit the fuck up. Didn't pull a gun. And, like, the cops loved Dillinger too. That was the fucked up thing. They always you could watch any of the videos of him getting arrested and he's just posing with them and laughing.
But Pretty Boy Floyd, man, was running through an orchard, and they kind of play it very well. Christian Bale plays Melvin Purvis.
Yeah.
And he takes that rifle, puts a fucking 30-06 in his abdomen from about probably 100 yards, and you see just the explosion of his fucking abdomen. And what's his name? Plays Pretty Boy Floyd.
Oh fuck.
The dude from
So I watched this movie like once, and
Yeah.
it was like it was a rough watch for me for some reason. I couldn't get into it
the
the
dude from
first
21
time
Jump
around.
Street, the funny kid.
Not Jonah Hill,
the other
but
guy.
fucking
But
Channing
yeah,
Tatum.
Channing Tatum played Pretty Boy Floyd.
Was he? Oh fuck yeah, he was. I totally forgot. Wow. Yeah.
You need to remember these when we do our trivia game.
Motherfucker, I'm just showing you some weaknesses.
But yeah, so he blows his fucking guts out. He tells him, man, I hope you fucking die. He tells Melvin Purvis, man, you go to hell. And he just bleeds out in a fucking orchard.
I need to
Bonnie and
watch that
Clyde,
again.
they made a movie with Kevin Costner
Yep.
and Woody Harrelson where they just light them the fuck up. But
And
those,
then-
I will say, those motherfuckers deserved every goddamn
they
bullet.
killed
Bonnie
a
and
lot
Clyde,
of
yeah.
innocent people.
I saw their car.
Oh, did you really? Did you actually see the real thing?
Yeah, I saw the real thing. It was,
Hell
it was at the Smithsonian at the time. It was fucking fascinating to see.
Wow.
And
That's
it was only there
awesome.
for a little while because we went to the Air and Space Museum and then we went to the actual Smithsonian.
Yeah.
And they got some weird stuff in there.
They got like Archie Bunker's chair.
Yeah, they got that, and they have the go for a sports reference real quick. The catch from the Steelers Raiders game.
Oh
Okay.
shit.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The most controversial catch in
Yes.
fucking football
Yes.
history. They have the helmet and the gloves and the shoes, and I'm just like,
Okay.
okay,
In a
yeah,
museum.
Did
The
these have
Immaculate
something to
Conception.
do with
The
it?
Immaculate Reception. That's what it was. Immaculate Reception.
Okay.
But yeah, they got some weird stuff in there. They got a
Next
nice layout of the whole fucking place. They got plants you can't touch behind a gate, like poisonous plants.
right.
They have rare poisonous plants just chilling at the Smithsonian.
Go ahead, fuck around and find out. Go ahead.
Just ready to. They're ready
Fun
to,
fact: at the time I went was the 4th of July, and everything is $9.
I'm gonna fucking remember that because my wife
You
was
wanted
talking.
everything was not. A beer was $9. You wanted to see a show within the museum because the museum's free.
Yeah.
All the museums are free, but they have like theaters inside of them. $9.
Why 9?
It's a goddamn economical oddity. That's what it is.
Because odd numbers make everybody unsettled.
And it's 4th of July. You're meeting people from fucking Shanghai and goddamn Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And
America.
And Cubs fans, oddly, because the Cubs were playing the Nationals.
Yeah, what the fuck is that too? Every year it's always the Cubs and the Nationals.
And guess what? Cubs fans, if you're hearing this, if you're a Cubs fan, go fuck yourself. You're terrible people. You're terrible people. Every last fucking fan I met was either like ogling or fucking filling up people on the fucking on the train.
Pretty much.
Woof.
Woof. But yeah, Untouchables was just fantastic.
The infamous stairway scene.
God, with the baby carriage, douche. I would have said, fuck that baby.
I felt bad for the sailors. Like, all those sailors fucking caught that shit. They were just getting back from the fucking First World War and shit. Probably just finishing service and getting lit the fuck up.
With the Ennio, how do you say his name? Morricone? Soundtrack?
Oh, yeah, Ennio Morricone.
Morricone, yeah. Rest in peace.
Yeah, fucking fistful of dollars, a few dollars.
Oh,
I just thought of
Westerns.
another film, Once Upon a Time in America.
God, fantastic.
One of the greatest gangster films of all time, even though it's got that one fucked up scene.
I never watched that all the way through.
It's a very long but very good movie.
I think about all these gangster movies; they're all very long.
Yes.
They're telling a story.
Well, you're like The Departed. You're really telling a story.
Yeah.
Of like, the way The Departed worked. Alec Baldwin, Martin Sheen, Mark Wahlberg,
Jack Nicholson, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt
everyone
Damon.
had a fucking Oscar except for Leonardo DiCaprio at that time.
Fucking Anthony Anderson was in that.
Yeah, he was a cop.
Yeah.
They're all memorable characters too.
Well, Sam Jackson, he dies in fucking Goodfellas. One of his worst death scenes is in Goodfellas.
Oh yeah, Stacks. That's right. Yeah, because he got high and left the van.
Hey, you want some coffee?
Be like to your own fucking funeral.
All right, take that coffee to go.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing? Put it back on the burner. You said take it to go. I didn't know.
I was fucking around.
Now, one of the lesser ones that probably doesn't get a lot, just because it's newer, is Legend. Have you ever heard of Legend?
Legend is great.
It's across the pond to Britain.
They do mention the mob in it, though.
Yeah, the mob. Well, they meet the mob in there because they're trying to make a deal.
Chaz Palminteri is in that. That scene.
But it's about the Cray twins, two enigmatic gangsters who were about violence and killing and doing whatever they needed to take care of.
Robbie and Reggie, and Reggie was fucking crazy.
And what's funny is Tom Hardy plays the Cray twins, right?
Yep.
But he also plays Charlie Bronson, the most infamous prisoner.
What a wild fucking movie that is.
Did I tell you? Was you the one I told about the movie and watched it?
I think so.
I told him about this movie.
No, I watched this like a while back.
Oh yeah. But like Charlie Bronson.
Yeah, not Charles Bronson the actor.
The story of the most infamous prisoner in Britain is fucking nuts.
He's a crazy son of a bitch, dude. But he's like oddly really nice.
Yes, he's kind to a fault, but he's just like, I will put oil on myself, bare naked ass, and you can try to catch me.
Yeah.
He's the greased up deaf guy. But he's just like, I'll rip your fucking eyes out,
He
cop.
does this in the movie too.
Yeah, he's like, I'll rip your fucking eyes out, cop. Because the art teacher had said something to him. He's like, I'll take your fucking eyes.
I think the one scene in Legend that the whole movie is like underrated as fuck, but like my favorite scene is still when they're in the diner and he's just straight up.
I'm here for a gunfight.
And I just love the first thing he says, like where Ronnie turns and goes, "Fuck you, fuck your face, fuck your shoes, and fuck all your friends here." Yeah. And
I came for a shootout, and they got pipes and shit. He's like
got
mad
fucking
as fuck.
hammers, two fucking claw hammers, just beats the shit out of the entire room.
Yeah. It's like a scene from Old Boy.
The whole gauntlet scene where he's going down the hallway.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? Like I saw Charlie Bronson. I saw much later, but when I heard like the story of Charlie Bronson, the most infamous prisoner in fucking UK, I thought of the most infamous prisoner in Australia, which is Mark Chopper Reed. It's a movie called Chopper. Me and my buddy rented this movie. It was just like one copy at the video store. You know what I'm saying? Eric Bana, who played the Hulk in the terrible Hulk movie.
that was rough.
Munich.
Yeah, Munich. That movie was shit. Those Israelis did not fuck around.
No. Is that about the Munich Olympics?
It's about the retaliation of the Israelis.
Oh, hell yeah. I gotta watch that
former Nazi hunters are just we can hunt down some Palestinians. It ain't that hard. They're right there.
Just a quick little drive.
PLO is fucking dead in the goddamn ground.
I read about the operation, but I didn't know they made a movie.
Yeah, it's Munich, and it's fantastic. But
fuck yeah.
He played Mark Chopper Reed, who was a serial killer in Australia, but he was a gangster through and through. And it's such a weird movie because he's the most dangerous inmate in Australia. And I was thinking, like, it's the same time as Charlie Bronson, and I'm just thinking, what kind of dichotomy is going on in the empire of the UK, of the United Kingdom, to let these motherfuckers exist?
Right?
Are they planning on possibly the most violent Hell in the Cell match that the WWE has ever seen?
This would be the WWF greatest fight.
I think this would be the fucking like WCW. Dude, you would have to go back and bring back old wrestling.
All the stories about Charlie Bronson.
This would be like gladiator shit.
Yeah,
like all the Charlie Bronson fucked up stuff is mirrored like tenfold in public with this guy, because they didn't bother to arrest him.
What the fuck?
Because he kills a guy outside of a bar. This guy who was allegedly a child molester and a drug dealer in Melbourne, and like he tells the cops, "Hey, I killed that guy," and they're like, "Whatever, Chopper, get out of here." And then he whips his dick out, and then he kills some more people, and then they finally put him in jail, and they say he's got a mental illness, and he's like, "I'm not shit." He's like, "I'm not fucking crazy. I know what I did," and then proceeds to have the meekest man in the prison. Because their prison is like a ludus, it's like a fucking, like all the walls in an inside court, and
shit.
So he's sitting in a fucking chair, and he's like, "Do it, or I'll fucking rape you." And this dude's like, "I don't want to do it." I said, "Take my ear," and he's having a guy cut his ear off as a sign of like, I could take whatever this fucking place has got, and so they dispel that shit real quick. The cops come in like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Holy shit, bro.
And because the guy didn't finish, he beats the shit out of him.
Oh my god.
And then he gets his ear sewn back on, and then it's just like hell in the cell, like with this motherfucker constantly. And then they turn him loose. And then he kills some more people, some more thugs. He kills basically bad people.
That was like this dude in Virginia that was like that.
Yeah. This sounds like Dexter or some shit.
Yeah. But he was legitimately psycho.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. I never heard of him.
Like, you remember that son of Charlie Bronson with the child molesters talking to him? And he's just like, he's real quiet. And then he's talking about all the kids he molested, and Charlie Bronson just gets the fuck up and starts beating his fucking...
Yes.
I
can't disagree with that.
Yeah. But Tom Hardy plays a fantastic bad guy.
Yes, he does.
I mean, even
he plays a Russian-born Jewish thug in Peaky Blinders.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I actually really enjoyed Peaky Blinders too. I love Cillian Murphy. That's one of my favorite all-time
I think
actors.
it was overdone on some parts. I think
I agree.
Season 1 it got a little too hyped up, and people were a little bit too like, "Oh yeah, this fake man is doing all this shit."
I'd say about season 3. Season 3 is where I started to really lose interest.
When he starts hanging out with the gypsies a lot more.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here going, now that I feel like they're kind of going, they're unsure of where they want to write this and how they want to work this. Like, there was a lot of potential in that second season, but then it was like it started losing steam.
Yeah. Well, I want to wrap this episode up with one more movie, and then we'll all come back to these movies one by one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Reservoir Dogs.
That's a gangster movie.
Yes, it is.
It's a heist movie too, but the thing is, you don't really see the heist.
No, that's kind of the best thing about this movie.
That's fantastic about it. You don't see the heist
or the diamonds,
and it's like there's so much foreshadowing in the movie, but it was one of those movies I saw because of I Love the '90s. Because they were talking about that
on IFC.
On IFC.
That's where
I rented it.
Funny thing is, that was a movie my mother showed me when I was like 6 years old.
I bought it at the $5 bin at Walmart. And it was the paper cover DVDs, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, where you unclipped it.
Yeah, you unclipped it.
Yeah.
But I sat there watching it, and they kept talking about this scene on I Love the '90s, the Stuck in the Middle with You.
Oh, fuck, with Michael Madsen.
Yeah. With Mr. Blonde.
Yep, and you can't not hear Stuck in the Middle of You with You and not...
Well, there's that...
See Michael Madsen dancing.
Yeah. Well, what's his name? The comedian... who is the DJ, the deadpan comedian.
He was Sandman in Spider-Man.
Oh, fucking Stephen Wright?
Yes, Stephen Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fucking hilarious. He's just like...
And here's this pretty little ditty.
Yeah.
Just monotone.
Man. And it's just like, what the fuck am I listening to? And what's cool is about that scene, everybody remembers the guy getting his ear cut off, but no one can picture it because you have to picture it in your mind because they never show it.
Nope.
It's very subtle.
He just grabs his fucking face, takes that knife down, and it pans to the radio. And then it's just like, he's just like boogieing.
With the ear in his hand.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, you fucking prick. Meanwhile, Tim Roth, Mr. R, just bleeding the fuck out. I'm dying, you piece of shit. Yeah. God, I fucking hate this place. And like how he died, did you know that was like, I think it's the director's wife that he drags out of the car.
Are you serious?
And gets shot. And like, it's so funny because he tried it twice, and the first time he wasn't aggressive enough, and the director's like, fucking take her out. Quentin Tarantino, I think.
I was going to say, it's Tarantino, right?
Yeah, but I forget whose wife it is. I think it's like the production assistant. He's supposed to, like somebody's part of the movie. He's like, you need to be more aggressive. He wasn't aggressive enough because it's a production assistant, the woman you see every day.
Are you talking about the scene where Steve Buscemi's running from the cops and he yanks her out? Or are you talking about where
Tim Roth,
where he gets shot in the stomach? That chick who shoots him.
She's part of production, and he's
that's
like,
fucking wild.
You need to put your fucking hands on her, manhandle her. And like, can you just imagine? Hey, Tim Roth, who's probably going under some type of psychosis of all the fucked up movies I put him in, is probably going to be putting his goddamn hands on you today. Man, be cool, bitch. Be cool.
That's the last thing he says. That's the last thing Quentin Tarantino says as he's leaving his trailer and just slams the fucking door.
I think, of all the like Harvey Keitel movies there are, I think this is his best movie.
I just love that. I agree with that. I just love that trying to reassure Tim Roth in that movie. Braden and I, my lead singer and I, were fucking talking about it. We're like, why did he break out into song? You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's like, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be. Say it. You're
say the goddamn fucking words.
It will be okay. The fucking life has left his body.
If there's one thing about any of Quentin Tarantino's movies, whenever somebody gets shot in those fucking movies, like, and they start bleeding out, the makeup department always top fucking tier.
And he got shot in the stomach, which is like forever to die.
Yeah,
like, it takes forever to die.
It will take you like 2 to 3 days to finally fucking die from that.
And have you seen the film breakdown of how, like, when they go in, when Mr. Blonde, or not, was it Mr. White and Mr. Pink go into the back room and talk, and they kind of foreshadow the standoff at the end? Because there's 3 canisters. One's white, one's pink, one's orange.
Oh, shit.
I haven't noticed that before.
And there's a yellow one on its side.
Oh, fuck.
And it's just like, that's the foreshadowing, because now they're going to all 3 argue, and the shootout's going to happen. Where Steve Buscemi kind of fucking lives.
Yeah, because he hid underneath the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
That Tim Roth was laying on.
Yeah, it is just like, God damn, like you really. Then I will go back and watch it. I'm like, yeah, it's there. Fuck, holy shit.
And it's like, I didn't know until a couple of weeks ago that Steve Buscemi's character didn't make it out. Like, he got arrested.
Yeah, did you ever play the video game?
I didn't even know they made one.
I didn't either.
For the PS2, you get to play as Mr. Blue.
Get the fuck out of here.
You get to shoot up the fucking bank. You play as Mr. Brown. You should play as Mr. Brown, leaving the bank and getting killed.
Are you serious? I didn't even know they made a game for it.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I gotta fucking find it.
It's just like all the scenes that they never put in the movie.
I just think about Conker's Bad Fur Day. That's what I think of. It's the fucking one of the mini games where he plays the weasels.
The Sopranos video game, the greatest.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Where you play as little pussy.
That fucking game is something else, bro.
There was a Godfather game.
The Godfather game was really good, and I really wish they would have made a third one.
Actually, and because of like the Sopranos and because of some other gangster-esque games, helped create the Mafia franchise.
Yes,
because they went back and did the
it bothered me
storyline.
That they didn't really build off of what the second video game had, or even the first one, where you build your empire, kind of like in the Scarface game. You build up your entire like cocaine empire. In the Godfather series, you're building up the Corleone family, taking over rackets, things like that. And I'm sitting here going, why did nobody take a page out of EA's book at this time?
Seriously,
I think it's just a property rights and stuff.
Oh like yeah, of course.
But like in the Sopranos game, you're playing as if, because when it came out, the Sopranos wasn't even over.
No.
So like they were still playing off Tony not being killed or caught or whatever.
It was still like lore.
It was like during season 3 is when it came out too. Yeah. It was like midway through the series.
Yeah, the Mafia games, they actually do a nice little callback to Mafia 2 and Mafia 3
with Vito.
Yeah, because you're Vito is one of your captains in Mafia 3 in Louisiana, which had probably one of the best game trailers I've never seen. Did you remember? Did you ever see Mafia 3 Graham's trailer? Dude, it is fantastic. He's in a fucking car. There's a beat up gangster in the back, an Italian gangster. They're driving through the bayou, gators and shit.
Yep.
And what was the song?
Was it Gimme Shelter?
It was Gimme Shelter was playing on the right? And of course, and he's like, that song's blasting. He's fucking gunning it down a dirt road in the fucking bayou because he's gonna feed him to gators.
I might have seen this trailer actually.
And he fixes that mirror and he's like, you fucked with a lot of people, but you decided to fuck with mine. And he turns the radio down and he gets out, opens the trunk, and there's 3 people. There's Vito from Mafia 2. There's that black girl who's a captain, and the other guy who's a captain. And
Catherine, and then the Irish guy. I forgot his name.
But these guys, he's banded together to be capos in fucking New Orleans, and it's just like, yeah, let's beat this guy to death and throw him in the fucking lake. Put him in Lake Pontchartrain.
He sleeps with the fucking alligators.
He sleeps with the gators.
Yeah, there's no Italian, just like all Cajun.
Sleeps with the gators.
The Cajun Mafia.
You gonna sleep with a gator now?
See, that sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah, that's the shit.
That's just swamp people, but it's like when the cameras are shut off and Troy's going on a rampage.
It's the horror movie like Swamp Thing. You know that one good thing they made with WB? And then they canceled it?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that? Did anybody ever watch the Swamp Thing series?
Yeah. Not yet.
It's a goddamn horror show.
That shit is so fucking bad.
But I'm not the movies. I'm not talking about the movies. I'm talking about the series.
Oh, dude, what the fuck?
Dude, it's a horror movie. It's good.
It's supposed to be.
It's
That's what Swamp Thing's supposed to be,
dude,
right?
It's practical effects. If anybody's listening to this, go on HBO Max before they get rid of it. WB made a Swamp Thing series that was a horror show up there with The Thing.
I gotta watch this then.
Practical effects.
Oh,
dude,
shit.
He tears a man limb from limb at every joint in front of a child. His eyes are blood red, shining in the moonlight, and it's green and black and wet, and it's just like, that is metal as
That's
fuck.
what Swamp Thing is supposed to be.
Yeah, terrifying.
Oh god.
Not a cheap suit.
But that's how we ended. That's how we ended the show, talking about Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
He might have been in the mafia.
He might have been in the mafia.
Hey,
you know too much, man.
Look at this guy over here, all
with this
covered.
fucking flowers and bullshit.
I just see him in a suit standing there like Paulie with the fucking TV.
Oh, the fingers. I go watch that and I hate it more and more.
Look at me and my fucking flippers here.
That is a good question. Do you think Paulie ever flipped? That piece of shit.
I don't think he flipped. I think what he did was he played both sides. He kind of played off of Johnny Sack and Tony hating one another.
Yeah, and that's what I like about some of these gangster flicks when you start seeing the people who flipped, because they all take a different approach. Mm-hmm. Because Departed is like CIs, you know. Goodfather, The Godfather, the Pure Flicks version of The Godfather, Goodfather,
a Hallmark presentation.
Yeah, it's Christmas with the Corleones. Terry Shire's husband wasn't strangled to death in front of a church.
Oh my fucking god! Hello, Carlo. Drops a fucking present in his lap.
But like, remember how like they handled this shit? Like Henry Hill was glorified almost.
Yeah,
because Casino didn't really have a lot of people who flipped.
Technically, Lefty did, but they didn't touch on it. They barely touched on it.
Reservoir Dogs, the casualties of the cop who goes undercover.
Yeah,
you know in City of God, there are no fucking police.
No,
the lack of law shows.
Yes. The cops never show. I think they only show up in like 2 scenes, and they're paid off.
And Scarface, no one flips because the law is a fucking joke.
Yeah,
and that's what Brian De Palma kind of shows in the first 15 minutes. Is just like, what's that? Where'd you get that scar? Eating pussy? And it's just like, you guys are fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that scene was.
That's the origin of the scar on his face.
Yeah, he got it from eating pussy.
Yeah, whatever.
It's kind of like Carlito's Way, though, too. The law doesn't really exist in that either.
Carlito's Way is a fucking underrated gangster movie.
Sean Penn looks like the weirdest motherfucker.
He does.
Dude, he was the basis for the fucking character in Vice City. That's my favorite thing.
Oh, Tony Cipriani and all of that.
Oh, of course.
Dude, like, he looked so fucking horrible in that movie. I'm just like, whoever was in the makeup department is a fucking asshole to make Sean Penn look like that.
I look like a fucking dick. Exactly. Now get on the set.
Yes, that's the point.
There'll be a dick over there. But like you talk about, almost every Pacino movie is probably a gangster flick almost.
Why is Al Pacino the only Italian that can play Hispanic people really well?
Because he was in a movie called Dog Day Afternoon, and he could play a homosexual, and no one else would.
You make a valid point. It's the same thing with Armand Assante.
Fredo's in that.
He is in that movie.
That was one of his only films because
Well, Al Pacino said how much of an underrated actor the guy who played Fredo was, and how much respect he didn't get And he was such a fantastic character, not only in The Godfather, but Dog Day Afternoon and the series of other movies, because he wasn't in a lot of movies. And he's every time I worked with him, it was fantastic.
I mean, he was married to Meryl Streep for years.
Yeah. Which is another weird kind of thing.
Fredo?
Yeah.
That actor. Yeah, dead serious.
This is before she was famous. This is before she did, like, Choose a Kid to Die in the Nazi concentration camps movie.
Yeah, for real.
Right. Let's think about that guy.
She wasn't Sophie Choice famous.
No, she didn't start working her way up yet.
But yeah, that guy will always be known, at least to me, as Fredo.
Yeah. The Fredo kiss.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for listening. This is another episode of the Couch Potatoes with Quinn and Cap.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing, tough guy?
Sadly, there's no final thought because all I got to say is I'm going to go watch Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, please, guys, watch this fucking movie. It's fucking terrifying.
I can't wait to go home and try to convince Kate to watch a fucking gangster
horror movie
yes.
about fucking DC's lesser known.
So we'll put on She-Hulk afterwards, I promise.
Yeah, you want to see another green bitch? That's fine.
It's alright, I got to torture my wife with these movies too.